Arsene Wenger was cheered before, during and after a splendid farewell victory at the Emirates. Arsene Wenger said his farewell to Emirates Stadium with a thrashing of Burnley to leave in the same way it all began for him as Arsenal manager 7,876 days ago, with victory. In a season of discontent and occasional open rebellion, this was a day for a united front to celebrate the career of the manager who has brought so much success and style to Arsenal since starting his reign with that 2-0 win at Ewood Park in 1996. And in a campaign of disappointment that will now be viewed as the end of an era, the last hope of success snuffed out by the Europa League semi-final loss to Atletico Madrid, Wenger at least got the home send-off he so deserved, with a stylish win over Burnley. The Clarets, who have a wonderful story of their own this season, were outclassed as Arsenal ran out 5-0 winners to give Wenger his 475th win in 826 Premier League games. This was not the time to celebrate a single victory but to reflect on all the triumphs and pleasure Wenger has brought to Arsenal in almost 22 years. And everyone played their parts perfectly on and off the pitch. The differences of this season were set aside as the good and the great of Wenger's reign came into sharp focus. The Emirates was draped in tributes to Wenger, with giant Merci Arsene banners outside the ground, while 60,000 red t-shirts bearing the same slogan and the date were placed on every seat. Wenger, who is clearly departing with reluctance with 12 months still to run on his contract, made his entrance through a guard of honour formed by Arsenal and Burnley players, along with their manager Sean Dyche, as he made his way towards the centre circle. Huge applause reverberated round the arena that can stand as a monument to his footballing wisdom and financial expertise in the transfer market. Arsenal have scored 53 home Premier League goals this season, their most since 2004-05. 54. There have been fallow years and subsequent fallouts with some Arsenal fans, but this was an occasion viewed through the prism of 3 Premier League titles, including 2 League and FA Cup doubles in 1997-98 and 2001-2002, and the Invincibles season of those 38 unbeaten games in 2003-04. Wenger's 7 FA Cup wins have also earned him a place in history, and many of the figures central to his achievements were here to pay their own tributes. Martin Keown and the great France midfield man Emmanuel Petit were backstage, and perhaps the most poignant sight of all was the return of David Dine to the Arsenal director's box for the first in 11 years. It was a reminder of a once unstoppable partnership between Wenger and the man who brought him to Arsenal, and perhaps things have never been quite the same since Vice-Chairman Dine left the board, citing irreconcilable differences in 2007. And looking on from behind dark glasses was Arsenal owner Stan Kroenke, who, along with Arsenal's board, must replace the man Dine says is an impossible act to follow. In contrast to so much here this season, this was a day of complete satisfaction on and off the field. The sea of 60,000 red t-shirts watching a comprehensive attacking display that was Wenger's trademark from those glory days. And it was the potent strike force Wenger will leave behind that set up this easy win, with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexandre Lacazette establishing the platform by half-time. Seed Kolasinac, Alexis Iwobi and a second from Lacazette wrapped up 6th place, but this was Wenger's day. His name swept around the stands inside the first 2 minutes, swiftly followed by that of Patrick Vieira, who has been linked as a potential successor. The other great names who brought glory under Wenger were also recognized in song, from Thierry Henry and Keown to Dennis Bergkamp. Burnley's fans sang their own tribute to Wenger, but were also quick with a cutting comeback to the adulation by singing "You Wanted Him Sacked" at Arsenal's fans. Other former Arsenal players, such as Jens Lehmann, Robert Pires, Kanu, and Sol Campbell, were there to join in the emotional post-match scenes. Wenger gave his red club tie to one young fan after his post-match presentation. No Arsenal fans left their seats once the real celebrations began at the final whistle, although the one note of dissent came when Arsenal chairman Sir Chips Keswick was jeered as he emerged to make presentations to retiring veteran Arsenal backroom man Vic Akers. Ladies captain Alex Scott and EmiratesArsene, who was given a final appearance before becoming the club's academy coach. Arsenal's great statesman and double-winning goalkeeper Bob Wilson, who was goalkeeping coach when the French visionary was appointed, then paid homage to the greatest manager we have ever had. His longtime assistant Pat Rice then presented Wenger with the gold Premier League trophy that was handed to the club after the Invincibles season. It was then Wenger's turn to speak, and the Emirates fell silent for his final words, which started with a touch of typical Wenger class and humanity as he sent his best wishes to his old adversary and latterly friend Sir Alex Ferguson. Wenger was receiving another presentation at Old Trafford just 7 days ago, from Sir Alex Ferguson. Listen. Wenger has been a great man for Arsenal, right? He will miss you. Wenger was presented with the golden trophy given to the club after their 2003-04 unbeaten Invincibles season. On the pitch after the match, Wenger, with his own giant image paraded on a floating flag behind him, spoke quietly with genuine emotion, ending with the message, "I will miss you." A lap of honor saw Wenger being applauded with huge affection, the fractiousness of the last few months forgotten, especially by one youngster who got his wish after spending most of the afternoon holding up a placard reading, "Arsene, please can I have your tie?" Wenger will cut the ties that have bound him to Arsenal at Huddersfield Town next week before this giant club starts to navigate a path away from the Wenger era, with giant letters spelling out the day's main message, "Merci Arsene," behind him. He waved one final goodbye as he disappeared down the tunnel. Now a new chapter will begin for Arsenal and Arsene Wenger. Man of the match, Alex Iwobi, Arsenal, one of 83 academy graduates to come through the ranks under Wenger. Iwobi had an impressive game, with more touches and passes than any teammate, and his well-taken goal. 606 and out for Wenger in North London. The stats: this was Arsenal Wenger's 606th and final home game in charge of Arsenal. W415 D120 L71, with this the 27th time that his team have won by 5 or more goals on home soil. Indeed, no manager has taken charge of more Premier League home games than Arsene Wenger, 414, winning 286 of those. Only Sir Alex Ferguson has won more in the competition's history, 305. Arsenal will finish the season having scored 54 league goals at the Emirates, their joint highest tally of home goals in a Premier League campaign, along with 2004-05, 54. Sean Dyche suffered his 50th defeat as a manager in the Premier League. However, only 11 of those have come this season, compared with 19 in 2014-15 and 20 in 2016-17. This was Burnley's joint heaviest defeat in the Premier League and the third time they've lost by a 5-goal margin, also 0-5 v Spurs and 1-6 v Man City in 2009-10. The Clarets have conceded more goals at the Emirates than any other away venue in the Premier League, 13 in 4 games. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has now scored 20-plus league goals in each of his last 3 seasons in the top 5 European leagues, 25 in 2015-16 and 31 in 2016-17, both for Borussia Dortmund. Aubameyang has scored 7 league goals at the Emirates this term, the most of any Arsenal player in their first 7 home appearances in the Premier League. Alexandre Lacazette has been directly involved in 9 goals in his last 9 games in all competitions, 8 goals and 1 assist, while also scoring and assisting in the same game for the first time for Arsenal. Among players to have scored 10-plus goals in the Premier League this season, the Frenchman has scored the highest percentage of his goals in home games, 79%, 11 of 14. It is impossible to feel nothing. What they said Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, speaking to BBC Match of the Day, "It is impossible to feel nothing unless you are completely robotic." It is 22 years of total commitment and togetherness. Overall, I would like to thank everybody. I had the luxury of doing this job for 22 years at the same club and I am grateful for that. It is difficult to analyze this season for what this team has done. At home it has been championship stuff, but away from home it has not been enough. We also went to the League Cup final and Europa League semi-final. The fans may be lost at the start next season, but they will have a new manager and they can continue the work as the basics are here. I will always be an Arsenal fan. Wenger. Burnley manager Sean Dyche, speaking to Mott. I think Arsenal raised their performance considerably. After the results yesterday we suddenly had nothing to play for and that affects players. They need something on the game. Today Arsenal really turned up. It will be a different feel at home next weekend. Our fans were great today and they know how good a season it has been. Arsene Wenger means a lot to the game. The only thing he'll be asking is if they could have done that more often. It's still quite fresh, but in 10 years they'll probably be looking back at thinking what an era. Arsenal 5-0 Burnley. We had nothing to play for. Dyche. What next? Arsenal travel to Leicester for their penultimate game of the season on Wednesday, 1945 BST, while Burnley host Bournemouth on Sunday, 1500 hours BST.